Use the tables for the sales after Thanksgiving Day at the K-Cute Boutique to construct a matrix for each. Make a 3 by 2 matrix for the sales for weeks 1 through 3 and a 2 by 3 matrix for the sales for weeks 4 through 6. Use the data to compare shirt and pant sales and the trend overall for sales. Alright, so let's first make the 3 by 2 matrix. And so this is for weeks 1 through 3. So if it's 3 by 2, we need to have 3 rows and 2 columns. And that works out pretty well from our table we have. We could use the first category as week 1, and then 2, and then 3 for our rows. And then we could have shirts and pants for our columns. And so for our first matrix, we'll just call it M1. Then we would have our first week, the first column would be 725 for our shirts, and then 695 for our pants. Week 2, we had 540 and 485, and then 565 and 505 for our third row. And then for the next one, then we're going to have to only have 2 rows this time. And so we could use then shirts and pants here for our rows if we just want 2 rows. And so we can call this matrix 2. So we'll have our shirts and pants as our 2 rows, and then we could use our weeks as our columns, so 4, 5, and 6. And so for row 1, that would be our shirts, and then column 1 would be week 4, so that's 805, and then 875. Remember that this is shirts as our row, so 805, 875, and 900. And then pants would be our second row, starting with week 4, that would be 725, and then 810, and then 995. Now analyzing these, I'm just going to label in what they were again. So we have shirts as our first row and pants as our second row, and then here they were our columns. And then we have weeks that progressively get bigger on our rows and bigger as the column gets bigger. And so just looking at, overall, it looks like they started out in week 1 selling the most, and then they both took a big drop. And then they get a little bit bigger, and then going left to right across these columns, we see that the shirts were selling, they made more and more money each week, and then same for the pants. And it seems like they, in general, sold more shirts until the last week where they sold more pants. And so just using these numbers, we're able to analyze that. And so looks like we have covered everything in this problem, so let's go ahead and summarize our answer. M1 is a 3 by 2 matrix with the weeks in the rows and the sales of shirts and pants in the columns. M2 has the rows and columns reversed. Shirt sales always appear to be greater than pant sales, except for the 6th week. The sales overall dropped from week 1 to 2 and then increased steadily to week 6. M1 equals 725, 540, 565, 695, 485, 505. M2 equals 805, 725, 875, 810, 900, 995.